Good morning, everybody. Today we are starting the class of this Reynolds system, first class of this biochemistry with Reynolds system, water and electrolyte balance. Any problem, right? Technical problem, anything you keep over the chat section, okay? Otherwise, we may not know. So, as we all know, fluid, it consists of about 50 to 60% of our total body composition. In that fluid, also the minerals, they are dissolved minerals and in the form of ions. And those minerals which we found in the form of ions are the electrolytes. And fluid compartments also we can divide into two compartments: intracellular fluid, and the fluid present inside the cells, we can say, and extracellular fluid, ICF and ECF. And this ICF may be water content may varies depend upon the tissue types, muscle versus fat. Extracellular fluid, ECF, also may varies. Okay, as women have less ECF, volume of blood, than men. Okay, so this is the differences certain between different compartments of fluid. Some fact related to fluid. So fatty tissue contains less water than muscles. Okay, all the fatty tissue are larger in size. We can say less volume, less weight, but they contain actually less water than muscle. Okay, and then that's why it's become difficult to lose that. Older adults tend to lose muscle mass as they age, thereby decreasing the percentage of water. Infants have higher percentage of body weight as water. So these are the facts related to the composition of water with the different body tissue and the age. Fluid compartments, intracellular ICF fluid and about extracellular fluid. Intracellular fluid, the fluid that is found inside the cell. And 2/3 of body's water is in ICF, intracellular fluid. Extracellular fluid, 1/3 of bodies is found as an extracellular fluid, and these are more prone to get lost. And also extracellular fluid may be different, we can say subcategorized as interstitial fluid between the cells, intravascular. In the blood, transcellular fluid, that is at CSF, synovial fluid, they are the transcellular fluid. These are the different types of extracellular fluid that may be present as an interstitial fluid between the cells, intravascular and transcellular. What function of body fluid? As fluids they are present in our body, also they carry the different functions. They facilitate the transport of nutrients, hormones, proteins, and other molecules into the cells. They help for the removal of metabolic waste products. Provide the medium in which the cellular metabolism takes place. Fluid becomes the medium for different metabolic process to be carried out. Other function of body fluids to regulate the body temperature. So regulation is also carried out by fluid. Provide lubrication of musculoskeletal joints. Different fluids are present in the joints. Okay, synovial fluids. They are providing the lubrication for those for free, easy movement of those joints. And they are the component in different body cavities. Pericardial fluid, pleural fluid, spinal fluid, and protecting those vital organs. They are actually creating the buoyancy for those vital organs that they can be adjusted well. Spinal fluid, peritoneal fluid, all they are different types of fluid, and they are present in different body cavity, and they are helping, and they are protecting, we can say, for those all those vital organs, helping for their normal function. For fluid balance, total amount of water and solutes in each component remain relatively constant. Water content and movement is tied to electrolytes, okay, salt we can say, and solute concentration and movement. So there, when you talk about water, we talk about electrolytes also, salt, because their movement is, we can say, controlled, interrelated. If the solute leaves the compartment by diffusion, water also leaves by osmosis. That is, water follows salt. So movement of this solute and solvent, they are, we can say, tightly processed. We can talk about fluid balance without talking about the electrobalance. So means when you're talking about fluid balance, there comes obviously there will come about the electrolyte balance also. Some extra noise is coming, Akriti. Wait. So we can talk about the fluid balance without talking about the electrolyte balance. So it means those two things come simultaneously. Okay, talking about the electrolyte balance, we have to talk about the fluid also, and both on fluid we talk about electrolyte because their movement from one component to other component is controlled by both. So balance means to be called as input to be equals to output. Balance. So how the fluid can be input in our body? Okay, different route for providing the fluid input through the digestive tract, the food and drink we take every day. That will be another is metabolism. It self produces to the water. Each cell produces water in catabolism of different molecules like glucose. Okay, so during metabolic process also some water may be generated. Okay, that is the input. Only very few, and output urine through the urine, kidney by kidney, lungs, sweat, skin through skin, feces, intestine. So general input is in day to day we are taking same habit, right? But output is crucial element to control the fluid and electrolytes. Okay, so by regulating the output, how much to be thrown out, that is very crucial to control the level of fluid and electrolyte. So about fluid balance, so balance means the input to be equals to output. Okay, what are the different routes for intake of this fluid through metabolism, drinking in ml, all these are ml, from drinking through food through metabolism, around 2400 ml of fluid can be taken, right? Through output with there is loss of fluid, urine, breathing, skin, feces. So when there is balance between intake and output, so we can say a balance of fluid is within the body, and that should be regulated. So if you are taking this much, how much is to be excreted, how much is to be excreted through the urine, through the breathing, that is regulated. Okay. So about water movement between the compartments. Okay, what force causes the movement of water between different compartments? So there are two major factors for the control of movement of water between the compartments. They are osmotic pressure and hydrostatic pressure. Osmotic pressure is generally the pressure created by the electrolytes and solutes. Okay, dissolved electrolyte and solutes. Osmotic pressure develops in the compartment with higher concentration of solutes and tends to pull water into the compartment. The osmotic pressure tends to pull the water towards where there is more. Okay. And another is hydrostatic pressure, HP, hydrostatic pressure, and this is the pressure of water, and like blood pressure, and it tends to push out water out of the compartment. Okay, so these two pressure are there for the movement that causes the relative movement of fluid between the compartment: osmotic pressure and hydrostatic pressure. And the force that moves the water between the is the effective filtration process. Okay, so when there is difference between this pressure, now there will be movement of water from one compartment to other, and that is the effective filtration pressure. So this is our osmotic pressure and hydrostatic pressure. Osmotic pressure is generated by electrolytes and solids. Hydrostatic pressure is generated by water itself. Okay, and one pressure tends to pull water into the compartment, whereas another pressure tends to push water out of compartment. And the differences between this pressure gives the direction of the flow of those fluids between different compartments. Some meaning of main ions or electrolyte like sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, magnesium, and their normal level is in the serum. Right? These are the normal level of those electrolytes in the serum, and they are generally units are taken as millimole per liter. Sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, magnesium. So these are the major ions present in serum or blood. So when you are talking about electrolytes, generally sodium and potassium is a major electrolytes. After that, chloride, calcium, and magnesium. Okay. Extracellular and intracellular fluids. Each compartment of the body has distinctive pattern of electrolytes, and the content of these electrolytes are different for this pattern. Okay, extracellular fluid, the sodium is the main cation, chloride is the main ion in extracellular fluid, whereas in intracellular fluids potassium is the main cation, whereas phosphate is the main chief anion. Okay, now in this way the electrolytes, the major chief electrolytes are different for different compartments, extracellular fluids and intracellular fluids compartment. A graph for graph of pictorial chart to show the distribution of electrolytes in the cells. Okay. About positive electrolytes in ECF and ICF, and about negative anion electrolytes, ECF and ICF, just with shown with graph. Okay. Extracellular fluid, sodium is in higher concentration. After that, potassium and calcium. In intracellular fluid, potassium is the major. Okay, sodium also is there, but relatively very low. And comparison is made within ECF and ICF. These electrolytes. Okay. Our negative anion electrolytes in ECF chloride, and ICF is phosphate. Okay, phosphorus, we can say phosphate ions are there. Some of the role importance of electrolytes in our body. It conducts electricity across the cell membranes. They are needed for the life process to occur. Okay. All the potential, membrane potential is created by those electrolytes, and because of that, there is conduction of electricity. That is as a signal process. Okay. Through signaling, to create the signaling, electricity, you can see in the form of electricity, they are being transported. Osmolality, maintain the osmolality of body fluid compartments. The osmolality should be maintained because it also tends to check the flow of fluid between different compartments. Regulate acid-base balance. Okay, obviously fluids, there are dissolved ions, and that helps to regulate the balance of acid and base. Okay. Helps in neurological and neuromuscular conduction. For all those conductive process in nervous system and up to muscular, okay, all those are ions are helping. Sodium, calcium, potassium. Okay, only sodium, calcium, they are major for the neurological and neuromuscular conduction. So these are the major role of electrolytes. Electrolyte balance. For the homeostatic condition to exist, equal amount of anion and cations must be present either side of the cell membrane for this balance. They can move from one to another side. Extracellular electrolytes are found in the interstitial and intravascular fluids. These are the extracellular electrolytes where there is balance of cations and anions. Okay. Regulation of fluids and salt. So when you talk about the regulation of fluid and salt, it will come in both. Okay. So we cannot talk about the fluid itself without talking about salt. That's why both salt and fluid will come simultaneously about the regulation. So how the regulation of those, we can see fluid or salt is occurring in the body. So about that, hypothalamus. First there is hypothalamus. There is thrust receptor, osmoreceptor, that continuously monitor the serum osmolality. And if the osmolality rises, the thrust mechanism is triggered from the brain. After that, pituitary regulation is there. If there is a release of ADS, antidiuretic hormone, in response to increasing serum osmolality, and it causes Raynaud's tubules to retain water. Okay. From hypothalamus, thrust center is triggered. From pituitary, when it senses the increase of osmolality, ADS, antidiuretic hormone, is released, and that hormone can action is on renal tubules to retain the water. And last note, thrust is the late sign of water deficit. Okay, when all the mechanism of the body is providing well, so they are trying to keep this, all those regulative mechanism is trying to keep the water in well balanced condition. But when it is not being able, so the thrust center is triggered. So that may be the late sign of water deficit. And obviously at that time when you feel thirst, now we tend to take the fluid. And for the some other mechanism, there is renal regulation. Okay, nephron receptor sense the decreased pressure, low osmolality, and the kidney secretes the renin hormone. Okay, and there is the renin angiotensin aldosterone pathway is triggered. Angiotensin second causes sodium and water retention by kidneys, and also stimulates the cortex to aldosterone, which causes kidney to excrete potassium and retain water and sodium. Okay, so this is renin-angiotensin aldosterone pathway for the retention of we can say fluid. Okay, so I think this pathway you may be learning in different physiological process also. So about this pathway, renin-angiotensin aldosterone system, how this system is operating to keep the fluid volume. Right? So when there is decrease of arterial pressure, means blood volume is decreased. Because of decrease of blood volume, there is decrease of arterial blood pressure. There may be the decrease of plasma sodium content also. So now what it does is that there is excitation of sympathetic nerve. Now it causes, all this causes glomerulus in the kidney, juxtaglomerular cells in the kidney for the secretion of renin. Now renin converts angiotensin to angiotensin first. Angiotensinogen to angiotensin first, it converts. Okay, and after that angiotensin first is converted to angiotensin second by angiotensin converting enzyme. The enzyme is from lungs. Okay, this enzyme, angiotensin converting enzyme, ACE, in short we write as ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. It is secreted from lungs. Now angiotensin second stimulate the adrenal gland for the secretion of aldosterone. Okay. Aldosterone is salt retaining hormone. It causes increase. It acts on kidney, increase potassium secretion, renal retention of sodium. Okay, sodium and also water. ECF volume rises, and pressure comes to normal. Okay, with the decrease of arterial pressure, now all these steps, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system causes to bring it to up to the normal. Right? So rises means the decreased level. It tries to bring up to the normal level by rising it. Okay? Not above the normal, so up to normal it tries to bring up to normal. Okay, so in this way, the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone pathway is operated. Okay, and this is for fluid balance. We can say ultimately blood pressure balance is there for keep the fluid constant. Our cardiovascular regulation. So through the cardiovascular, it also maintain the fluid volume. Pressure sensor is there, and by atrial natriuretic factor is there. Okay, ANP is there. ANP. So about that ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide. ANP is the hormone produced by specific cells of cardiac atrium in response to blood volume expansion. It inhibits the reabsorption of sodium and water by the renal tubules, which in turn increases the urinary excretion and helps to return blood volume towards the normal. It exerts the negative regulation on its ADH in the central nervous system. So actually, when there is a high blood volume expansion, so now it is inhibiting the reabsorption of sodium and water by renal tubules. So when there is increase of blood volume, it tries to bring that up to normal. Okay, by inhibiting this reabsorption of sodium and water by the renal tubules, and also exerts a negative regulation on this antidiuretic hormone in the central nervous system. This is about ANP. Pulmonary regulation, water loss by hyperventilation and mechanical ventilation. Okay, or pulmonary regulation of potassium balance. So because potassium also is an electrolyte important, and it should be balanced like sodium also. Okay, ICF, ECF, potassium ion concentration affect the cell's resting membrane potential, as we know that. When there is excessive extracellular fluid potassium, it decreases the membrane potential, and too little potassium causes hyperpolarization and there may be non-responsiveness. Okay, so because of that, there should not be more potassium and no little potassium also. So it should be in balanced condition. Now, how potassium itself is regulating its concentration. When there is high potassium concentration of ECF, it favors the principal cells to secrete potassium, and low potassium or acylated potassium loss decreases its secretion by the collecting ducts. Okay, so its concentration is checking its level. Okay, so for regulatory side is generally this collecting ducts of kidney for the potassium. Less than 15% of filtered potassium is lost in the urine, regardless of it. Means how much we need, that is does not bother, but the potassium that is being filtered, less than 50% is generally it gets lost in the urine. Okay, through the urine. So in this way, the potassium balance is controlling this collecting ducts of kidney by the amount of potassium secreted into the filtrate. When it is excessive, it will be excreted over the basal level by the collecting ducts. And when the potassium level is low, the amount of secretion and excretion is kept at a minimum level. Okay, it tries to decrease that excretion rate so that the balance occurs for this potassium level. So for the to control the check and balance of potassium level, generally it is occurring in the kidney itself. Okay. By the level is checked by keeping regulation over the absorption and loss of potassium through the kidney and through these collecting ducts. Okay. Aldosterone, influence of aldosterone in potassium. It stimulates the potassium ion secretion by principal cells. And in collecting ducts, for each sodium reabsorbed, the potassium will be secreted. And when there is increase of potassium level under the adrenal cortex, it causes release of aldosterone, potassium secretion. So in this way, potassium controls its own extracellular fluid concentration by the feedback regulation of aldosterone release. Okay, itself, when there is more potassium, it is giving feedback for this high aldosterone to get released. Okay. In this way, the balance of potassium is occurring, and for sodium also there is different mechanism. Okay, fluid on electrolyte balance. Okay, about fluid and electrolyte balance, this much for today. About disorder, we will be continuing in next class. So if anything, you can write over the chat section. So today's class we have learned about fluid balance and what different mechanism are there for the regulation of fluid balance. Okay, through the hypothalamus, right, pituitary regulation, this renin angiotensin aldosterone pathway, cardiovascular regulation by ANP. Okay, this much for today. Other things will be carried out in the next classes. Okay, thank you.